Do you find yourself recycling similar arguments with your partner, maybe where you're pointing the finger and making them the cause or the source of the problem? Or maybe they're doing it to you and they're using words like, it's your fault, or it's because of you that we're in this situation. Or maybe there's even name calling, like, you're such an idiot, or how could you be so stupid, or worse. And then the other person might push back and say, I didn't do it. I don't know what you're talking about. It's your fault, or it's because of you. So things can escalate. So raise a hand or put a yes or a me too in the comment if you have found yourself in a situation like this. And if it's a little too familiar, a little too common for you. And just know that if that is the case, you are definitely not alone. I have been there myself, and I've helped hundreds of women with situations like this as well. And the problem is that most of us were just not taught how to communicate skillfully. And the opposite is true, that we were modeled really unhealthy patterns of communication where we're watching arguments and blaming and criticism and things like that. And we're seeing that we just don't get how to communicate in a way where we can be heard and understood and where we can avoid these painful arguments. So what I'm going to show you today is we're going to talk about the three main communication pitfalls that I see, and then two top tips that you can use to shift the pattern. So let's dive into these. And the first one is blame. I've already mentioned that. Blame is where someone's pointing the finger and making someone, the other person usually, the cause of the problem. It's your fault, you did it, something like that. The second pitfall is criticism. And that's where there's name calling or demeaning words that really hurt when they're received. So nobody likes to be blamed or criticized. And if they are, they generally will defend. And that's the third pitfall, is defensiveness. Defensiveness is when you push back and you say, I didn't do it, or it's not me, it's you, or you think I did that. Well, what about you? So there's some kind of pushback. And again, things don't go well from there. So there's usually something will escalate. It turns into a conflict, and then there's hurt feelings, and that can lead to more distance and more of a feeling of disconnection. And it can be hard to come back from that sometimes. So here's two simple ways that you can shift these patterns. Instead of blaming or criticism and that pointing the finger over there, try going in here and consider naming and speaking about your own experience in a way that cannot be argued with. The second one is, instead of that pushback of defensiveness, again, go internal and take full responsibility for your part of the situation and for your own experience. No excuses, no counterattack. So I said those two were simple, and I think they are, but they're not necessarily super easy to implement because we are entrenched in old patterns, and it is so easy to go back to the habit of blaming and criticizing and defensiveness. And so it can really help to have your hand held and to be seen and shown the nuances for how to do this more skillfully, and to also be shown your own pattern, because we don't even see it sometimes. So that's why I do the work that I do with my clients, because I help them to unpack what's happening and to understand and get underneath it as well. So if you're interested in learning my top skills for how to stay out of arguments and how to stay out of these negative patterns like blame and criticism and defensiveness, and how to get out of that painful cycle of not being heard and not being understood and not knowing how to set boundaries and not knowing how to speak up for yourself, or maybe somebody walks away and there's just sort of shutting down the conversation and that hurts so much, or people feel pushed away instead of drawn in. So if you want to learn how to avoid those traps, then I want to invite you to my upcoming connection code. It's a free communication training for women. It's all online, and it's subtitled is the clear communication and boundaries that bring you closer. So even if you've done the training before, I'm adding a whole class on boundaries this time. There's 4 main days of the training that are just about 1 hour per day, where I give you a communication pitfall followed by a key communication skill to shift that pattern with all the nuances that I'm not giving you here today. And then there's 2 bonus classes where you can interact with me. So check it out in the link below. It starts September 15th, and all the details are there when you click the link about the time and the information about the training. So I really hope you take advantage of this. I don't know if I'm going to offer it again. I hope you join me now, and I can't wait to share it with you. Click that link below, and I will see you there. Bye.